Okay, so here's the window insert that I'm building to trim out the windows that we just had installed. So the new windows are a little bit smaller than the opening, of course, so they had to shim the new windows in. So if I were to just tack up trim along the outside and everything, there would be big gaps and it's really uneven, and some of the like studs and framing isn't level, and so it wouldn't look good. So what I've done here is I've just decided to build what I think is going to be a good looking window trim, and then built a jig for it, and then this fits into the window, and then I'll trim around it as I go. So I'm doing this all factory style. I figured out all my materials, all my cuts and everything. I've tested the two different size windows I have. So there's this one, and there's also another one there, standard one. But this is the big one. That's kind of the trickier one. There's also more of these. So what I've done now is I've started cutting material to length and then ripping it as I go. So like, for example, these boards here, that batch behind this window here is those are going to be the upright inside trim pieces for the standard window, versus like these have already been ripped. These are what become that trim piece, that insert. So these will be the inside trim boards. So these have already been cut down and ripped. And that's all of them that I'm going to need for all the windows. And then this batch over here, we have all of the outside trim pieces. So those are the decorative pieces. So once I am done with the chop saw, we'll put the router in there and the routing table, and we'll round off all the edges on those. They're nice. And then just so on and so forth, like all the different pieces for the different window assemblies. And then of course I've got my sills still to make. I'll get those cut. So I'm almost done with all my cuts, and then I've got a little bit more ripping to do, and then I'll be done with cutting and ripping, and that will be nice. Then I'm just down to sticking it in my jig that I made here. So you can see what I did with the jig is I've just got some framing 90-degree brackets, and I just laid them out on this table here. So I've got myself a little jig, so I can set all the pieces into the jig, and then hit it with the pin nailer, and good to go. So there it is. That's what it looks like.